said, the coordinate structure constraint, especially with WHNC2, hasn't been looked at. So maybe it's worth.
And also another example that you have in which you say kya kharida, or do you have something there before kya?
This one.
Save or kya kharida?
No, there is one wherein you have kya kharida or khaya kuch aisa.
ATP one. ATP. This one.
Yeah.
Across the board.
So how is this different from your previous sentence? Ram ne kya kharida aur khaya? You are saying that this is acceptable, and you are saying that Ram ne kya khaya or piya.
Kya kharida or kya khaya? That's across the board.
Yeah, across the board.
And we put both the variants because for some of us it was difficult to get this reading where
Where you're thinking you can't eat
before you buy. So we had this scenario in our mind where we are standing beside the kela. First we ate, checked out the taste, and then we bought. So both permutations.
But these are across the board.
Across the board.
So that's. Anyway, I think this could go on, but Vinash's idea is that we should hear from the other. Lots of interesting facts, but of course, come also.
Okay, so I'm not going over the basic things because we have already discussed. So, yeah, one theory is that it is in situ, and it has been said that it is not really. It moves at it really moves at LF, and then where it tells you that. So this is basic syntax class that you always had. So I'm not going over that. Sorry. So the thing is that there is a lot of possibility of scrambling that is there. But the problem is there are some variations in where you can scramble what. So some people in our group had that there are places where you can't scramble the WH because it gives other meanings. I'm gonna come over that later. One of is that when it's pre-verbal, in fact, every one of us agreed that clearly gives. Okay, so before that, probably we have done it. Is that in Hindi, how you basically decide if it's a WH, it's a rhetorical, or when it's kya, it's polar, is based on the intonation that you have. It's really sensitive, and I'll come to more examples. But just for the start, you can keep that. But it is slightly also sensitive. It's not like it's completely sensitive only to the intonation. There is preferences also in the word order. So when it's pre-verbal, especially the object DP, everyone agrees that it has to be the thematic one. You cannot get a rhetorical or a polar over there. And there are some variations. Is that in some sentences, when it is in the beginning, it is very difficult in certain cases for Hindi speakers to process it as a thematic kya. And in the end, also, I feel that it has to be rhetorical, but there are others here in the group who disagree with me. So they would say intonation can give it a thematic reading also. So this is one kya. So kya is really, is the one that you can get me. This is kya usne khaya. That's a polar. Kya usne khaya is like when you're asking what he ate. That's possible too. It's like kya Ram kahin gaya. Ram kahin jayega kya. So that kya in the end is again polar in the second one. Kya Ram aise karega. That's fine. It's like that's again slightly idiomatic reading where you have is like, why did he dump me or something. And then the clear is like it cannot co-occur with the other question words. So in the embedded clauses, you cannot if the WH is inside the embedded clause, it cannot take over scope. You need a kya outside for it to give scope. However, in this case, unlike the simple sentences that we had, if it's in the front, all of us agree that it has to be a polar reading. You cannot have a thematic reading of kya there. And if it's in the end, then you can have both. Like you can also interpret the WH which is inside, and you can also interpret as a polar. And this is another example. It's just the interesting is, in fact, this one where I was saying that this, if it's in the middle, you don't don't get the rhetorical. But in fact, if you say "Tum kya aam khaoge," like it's like you don't know anything about it. Sharma ji aam khate hai, so he knows how to do it. So basically, it is not absolutely sensitive to the word order. There is intonation is playing a very big role over here. So they talked about the WH copy. So one interesting example, and I'm going to only discuss that, is for me there's a clear when you have a Q. So Q for me it seems really right compared to when you put a question mark in kaise and all. It's like तुम्हें क्यों लगता है कि राम वहाँ क्यों गया? तुम्हें क्यों लगता है कि राम ने चोरी क्यों की? So that seems very natural to say than the WH that they were talking about. So but this slightly different. It's a WH copy because I cannot put Q with another WH below, like the 15th one. I don't know why it's 50. It's like तुम्हें क्यों लगता है कि राम ने कैसे काम किया? That just seems wrong. And over here you can also have kya, but it is different in meaning. For example, तुम्हें क्या लगता है राम ने चोरी क्यों की is just like I'm asking a general opinion. When I'm asking तुम्हें क्यों लगता है राम ने चोरी क्यों की, so I have a presupposition that you know some hard facts or you have at least a coherent theory that's there. So it's slightly different in meaning also. In fact, we checked this. We tried to check it very nicely. If this is extraction, if this is scrambling, what can you do, what you can't, but we are in fact more confused now than we were before about this. But more or less it is following what you had in the handout. So it's not really different. For example, कहाँ राम मना करता है कि वो नहीं गया. So there is, first is like there are differences in reading that are there. So like with kaha it's clear, but then sometimes with kya you also get the polar reading, and nahi over there sometimes actually makes it clear that this is the question word that has come from below and it's not a polar. So there are a lot of factors that come into this play, but like mana karna, afsos karna, shak hona, which is like to doubt, कहना चाहना, कहना चाहता है, which is basically he's trying to imply. They do allow for the keyword to come out from, but then there's show, like dikhaya. So this where is actually pointing to the place when he showed and not the place where he went. So that's very clear that the factors won't take Asha and all that. The only weird thing is where you have Janana. So some of the people in my group feel that this is okay when the WH has come from embedded. For me it's not, but then for some people think given the appropriate intonation and the context, they would accept this. And so is like Ram. And this should also be okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
राम ने खाया can also be a WH and not a polar. Is that a very
See, how we have tested this is that we are letting all the intonation and context go into it. Like you can put any intonation, and if you stress it and you get a thematic reading, that's fine. Like I'm not going with the first reading. So if you stress it in a particular way, like I don't get it but others do. So if they get it, then I'm treating it as fine.
If
I'm
there is a
not
prosodic
the
phrase
first.
like क्या राम ने खाया या क्या राम ने खाया, so you have there should be a prosodic phrase. So only then you will get this thematically. Otherwise,
So that I have it.
So along the same lines, I think you said pre-verbal cannot be rhetorical, but did you say that? Or
There is a preference that it should be
Thematic.
yeah.
But I can totally say, ये तुमने क्या कर डाला?
Yeah. So,
Right? So that's a.
but then your dala,
Doesn't matter. It's still pre-verbal. No?
Yeah, and-
ये तुमने क्या किया? ये तुमने किसको मार डाला?
So I have given the other example where kya does. So I'm saying there is an intonation playing into factor, but in another context, generally you would do that. So it's all about preference. I'm not making it change here.
So you had the Q example, right?
Yeah.
So like, are you asking why you think that, or like why Ram did whatever he did?
I would answer this question by saying that by answering, why Ram did it.
So this is a new thing. Like I've never seen, but it was there in both the presentations, right? This copy construction. So this is really kind of interesting.
So, do you get the same answer if you add होगी after that? So, तुम्हें क्यों लगता है राम ने चोरी क्यों की होगी? Do you get the same answer?
So the only difference is one is like where you expect that there are hard facts, and the other is where you're asking, maybe you don't have a hard fact, but you have a coherent theory. That's the only, like the scenario context.
But both allow for it.
Yeah. But the context slightly changes, but otherwise it's fine to me.
I think that's definitely
क्यों
worth
की होगी?
looking
उसमें
at.
राम ने चोरी की है,
Mhm.
तो और उसको लगता भी है, इसलिए वो पूछ रहा है कि तुम्हें क्यों लगता है कि राम ने क्यों चोरी की होगी? So is it that reading?
No, that's a possible reading, but that's not what that would be copy, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was confused between these two.
But they are saying you can get a reading where you're only answering the downstairs.
If you just say the sentence to me, I would answer them very well. So maybe you can add context and like make me answer
This
that.
is a new finding from this workshop. Or WH copy, I think. So interesting.
But we need at least 40 other people to for the test, right?
You got to start somewhere.
We were, and you didn't mention that kya at the end, right? She gets a polar reading by default.
Yeah.
No, rhetorical and polar.
Rhetorical,
And
right?
polar.
But we didn't get that. What was that example?
जाओगे क्या? जाओगे क्या?
Not this
That's
one.
polar.
This is okay. I think there was other constructions where
Hold on.
it was something similar to what.
Okay, this is with कहाँ and it's वो ये काम करेगा कहाँ. So for me this is rhetorical.
Yeah.
For they say it's a thematic, it's a place that
So what was the sentence?
वो ये काम करेगा कहाँ.
And you can get a thematic, like where will he do this work?
Yeah.
Yeah, people find that hard to get, like at least that's what it is there in the literature.
But actually it's only me who said.
That's something that we also discussed. That even if you ask a question,
But actually the thing is only me, I get a rhetorical. The three of them
would
they
say
get
that give the reason, not that they clear better, but that's not what the assessor is looking for.
So you don't get the rhetoric meaning at all?
I mean, look, you see, the thing is when you ask somebody, so what would, if there were two answers, right? One is the rhetorical and the other is the thematic. So I will always, by default, I'm going to turn this way.
Oh.
Rhetorical, when she said it was like, oh my goodness, is that possible? Was kind of, that kind of feeling is what we got.
वो ये काम करेगा कहाँ.
Yeah,
The
no,
person
most
doesn't
people I
know.
think
I think
that's what's
educates
in
to
us.
do the work and then
Yeah.
exam.
You see, so it's like, instinctively you would want to turn towards semantic. And when she said, no, I get all, and mind you, she always gets the rhetorical. That's the problem.
That's not very popular part of you because it's very much there. Not that everything that's in the literature is a given, but that's the general view that when you have a WH following the word, it doesn't yield a regular question, basic question information question reading. So, but like I said, there are many things we accept till somebody points out a way of either pronouncing it or a context. I'm only arguing with your default idea that, in a sense, perhaps if it was default, the linguists who worked on it would have kind of gone with that, right? So, but there's something to be done there, of course. So, thank you. So, we have a day off. Just take a break.
Has everybody signed? Attended. Or you could stay in the
Today I think I signed only twice.
So you should basically sign for yourself so that you will
You send this to Abhishek and others.
Has everybody signed the attendance sheet?
No.
Yeah, I'll send this.
Sign with guys, just pass it on, please.
Everyone, please stay back for
Yeah.
time after they're done.
Okay, so let's decide something for tomorrow.
Mobile.
So then 6 minutes.
Very distracted by my she was sitting right.
The second answer actually answers what he will already answer.
Key was whole construction, not the what.
Yeah, no, I thought there was, okay. And my email is not like.
Please pay attention. Please email your slides to Vinita madam. She'll have a look at it and then comment on it on Monday. So just
You know, if, I mean, not, you don't have to do anything more than what you presented, okay? This is not to give, not to ramp up the pressure, but just if you send it to me Monday, by Monday evening, I can at least make some, whatever few comments that I can. Now, of course, Hindi is going to be the hardest, right? Because a lot of work has been done on it, and also because, but I'm trying to keep, I don't want to impose, you know, any structure or anything, whatever you presented, which was very good, and I am very impressed that everybody presented very professionally within 10 minutes and very clearly. Just that, you know, there may be a few things that I might want to just point out to you if you think it will be helpful.
So please email it.
Send my email and I'll get it to you by Monday evening for sure. And then you, so next week, what will be the presentation? Will you decide the presentation schedule? So I already told you that the lectures that I will give will be more focused on the yes, no kind of thing, but also, you know, a few themes that may come up I can decide. Yeah, they would work on delinking and yes, no question, right? Delinking and yeah, I think Monday definitely that we could do in the workshop. And Tuesday they could start working on a little bit more yes, no, although several people have already, if you'll know about polar kya, like it's been in the air for some time or?
Can you just tell a little bit about the last like assumption? What I saw, whatever we have to give the definition of the references for
We'll decide.
but at least we can choose our own topic, right? Yeah. I mean,
We'll have
just
choice.
like start reading on it.
Well, one thing I think that would be good is to put together whatever you're, you know, even having the data set in whatever form that you can put it, I think will be useful for you guys later if you want to work on it, because otherwise it gets lost, you know, all of these things that you've discovered. But so I think that we should just have as a write-up, and then on top of that, we want them to do their own paper topics, or
Not paper, something they might do next week.
with the, as a group or individuals.
As a group, I think is better.
Okay, so do individual work this time. No individual works and no
No, I don't individual work.
We went just a lot of times. That's the
No.
If we did groups, it took around 2.5 hours. So I think it's better we do it in groups.
You also do individually.
Okay.
Yeah, man, it's like some old people are also going to do it.